welcome to the Chamber's Business Speaker Series. I am Tom Antrim, former Chamber Board Chair and CEO of French Funerals and Cremations. Thank you for joining our virtual event today. It's the final installment of our Business Beat events for this program year, and this is going to allow the business community to hear directly from high-level experts and decision makers on timely and relevant topics. Today, we're talking about the various roles and impact of our flagship university, the University of New Mexico. Everyone's a Lobo. Thank you. And we'll hear from University President Garnett Stokes about her general priorities and plans, and then have a deeper conversation with senior UNM leaders about three topics in particular: healthcare, the film and digital media industry, and university athletics. Before we jump in, I'd like to recognize some really great companies and organizations who are sponsoring this event. First, PNM Resources, President and COO Don Terry. New Mexico Mutual, President and CEO Kelly Mixon. The University of New Mexico and its President Garnett Stokes, including UNM Health Sciences Center, UNM Health, UNM Comprehensive Cancer Center, UNM Athletics, and UNM Rainforest Innovation. Molina Healthcare Plan President Carolyn Ingram. Western Sky Community Care Vice President of Operations Ramon Martinez. Central New Mexico Community College President Tracy Hartzler. Albertsons and Market Street Regional Vice President Carlos Hernandez. UNIRAC CEO Peter Lawrence. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of New Mexico President Janice Torres. Excellent Schools New Mexico Executive Director Scott Hyman. Comcast Vice President Chris Dunkeson. U.S. Bank Vice President Liz Earls. James President and COO Shad James. KPMG Managing Partner Brett Thompson. Thank you to each of our great sponsors for their engagement, generosity, in supporting this event. We appreciate each of you. To get us kicked off, I'm going to bring Chamber President and CEO Terry Cole into the conversation. Terry will introduce President Stokes, and after President Stokes comments, she'll introduce the senior team of members she's brought with her today. We'll take on the conversation from there. So Terry, all yours.
Thank you, Tom. And Garnett, welcome. President Stokes is the 23rd president of UNM, has served in the role since 2018, and is the first woman to hold the post. She's a first-generation college grad, earned her BA in psychology from Carson Newman College in Jefferson City, Tennessee, and her MS and PhD degrees from the University of Georgia in industrial organizational psychology. We honored President Stokes with one of our top chamber awards last year, noting that the even temperament and positive vision she's brought to this role. She had to make hard decisions and led the institution well during the COVID pandemic. Finances are repaired and have remained in order. Student athlete GPAs are high. The university's various campuses and programs are more unified than ever. Critical capital projects that will serve our community well, especially the new hospital wing and children's psychiatric hospital. President Stokes, we've appreciated your engagement with our business community and partnership on a range of issues. Why don't you give us your top of mind thoughts about where UNM's at right now and your top priorities? And then please introduce us to the team members you brought with you today for today's program.
Thank you, Terry, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here today for what I know will be a really interesting and entertaining conversation on UNM's impact in our community. And I would say what an impact it is. Our economic footprint is a big one. According to our most recent analysis, the University of New Mexico annually contributes more than 40,000 jobs, more than $2 billion in annual labor income, and more than $5 billion in economic output to our state. As the state's Research One flagship institution, we are one of the key drivers of our state's economic engine, whether it's collaborating on research with national partners like our federal laboratories, or providing the intellectual or financial capital for local startups. We value our roles as economic leaders and motivators. Meeting the economic expectations of our local and regional communities is a never-ending responsibility, mostly because economies and the industries that propel them change constantly and quickly. UNM's Bureau of Business and Economic Research is a primary resource for socioeconomic data that we use and which we provide to organizations for their use as well, to help us all better understand, forecast, and identify trends and changing economic markets in New Mexico. We have found that our target industries are vast and interesting, from aerospace and cybersecurity to film and television and outdoor recreation. Given our state's history, as well as our proximity to several national labs and government facilities, we know that STEM fields will always be a priority. However, we're also constantly looking at New Mexico's rapidly expanding industries. It is our goal to always be nimble in adapting to and creating new curricula and programs that are forward-looking and provide the education, training, and skills needed to succeed in industries that seem to evolve and expand almost daily. For example, across our campuses, we are preparing our students to meet the demand for jobs in one of the fastest growing industries in our state, namely the film and TV industry, which drives more than $600 million in New Mexico alone. We also lean into our role as an anchor institution, making a positive impact on our communities just by our presence. Some of the most common positive impacts on communities come from hospitals and sports facilities, and at UNM, we're very fortunate to have both. Being home to the state's only academic health center gives us the awesome responsibility of looking out for the health and well-being of all of our citizens, an obligation and expectation that we take seriously and proudly. As New Mexico's only teaching hospital, we're creating new programs to meet our state's growing needs for great healthcare providers. For example, we've established the BA to MD program that targets the physician shortage by identifying high school students with an interest in pursuing a medical degree, and then providing them with the training and opportunities they need to become doctors who stay in our state and practice medicine in any of our rural communities in need of physicians. And of course, Lobo Athletics also brings enormous value to our communities. On game day, Lobo fans bring with them countless dollars that will be poured into local businesses while maintaining a deep affinity for the teams. We see similar positive impacts from having Maxwell Museum, Pope Joy Hall, and other high-use public facilities like Johnson Gym on our campus. Finally, I'd like to talk about our strong record of commitment to innovation in business. At Rainforest Innovations, for instance, we've developed what we call an entrepreneurial ecosystem with a lot of remarkable and in some cases unconventional partners, from visionary researchers at UNM to the creative dreamers at Meow Wolf, and it's paying dividends. Among our 18 peer institutions, for every $2 million in research dollars spent, UNM is first in number of licenses and options signed, and second in the number of startup companies created. To date, there have been 159 startups formed based on technologies developed at the University of New Mexico. Of those companies, 55% are still in business and active, and a majority of those are active in New Mexico. We also offer entrepreneurial training programs like the EDA University Center, which provides training, resources, and technical assistance by local experts and mentors to emerging entrepreneurs at all UNM campuses. And well, there's so much more to talk about, and I brought with me today the right leaders to do it, and I'll end by introducing them to you. So I am delighted to introduce to you today Dr. Patricia Finn, Dean of UNM School of Medicine, Eddie Nunez, Vice President and Director of Lobo Athletics, and Professor James Stone, who chairs the Department of UNM Film and Digital Arts. Thank you all for being here. I look forward to the discussion, and I'm happy to hand things back over to you, Tom. Thanks.
It would help if I unmuted. So thank you, President Stokes, and a big chamber welcome to Eddie, Patricia, and James. We appreciate you taking time out to be with us today as well. As we know, there's a lot of people that are logged in that we can't see on the screen. So if any of you have questions, please go ahead and add that into the Q&A box on your screen, and we'll get to as many of those questions as we possibly can. But in the meantime, let me start by just asking an open-ended question, or questions as it may be. Are communities today asking more of higher education than they did, say, 20, 30 years ago, whether it relates to the delivery of healthcare, contributing to job creation or economic growth, or simply training young people to be contributing members of society? Do you get the sense that we're asking too much of higher education, too little? And hold on, there's more. And as it relates to UNM, what are some of the community's challenges that you're wrestling with as you go back to your work? So let me tee it up there and take it if any one of you would like to jump in.
You know, I don't know if the members of my team want to jump in on that one, you know. But, you know, I do think that the expectations for what higher education can do have been increasing. But I think, you know, when we serve the public and as a flagship public institution, we recognize that our states actually need our support. And so, you know, we do have to spend time making sure that we don't lose sight of the primary missions of education and research and healthcare delivery. But I do think that expectations are high, but that we see the value of what it is we can offer to the community. So that's a partial answer.
That was a loaded question. Go ahead.
I'd like to dive in there a little bit if I could. I really do think expectations are high amongst those students who want to be part of the film industry. I mean, they have suddenly this incredible phenomenon on their doorstep, and they want us to educate them and make them set ready. They don't just want to make movies. They don't just want to become filmmakers. They want to know what it takes to step off the campus and onto a movie set, and to know what to do, to know the protocols, to know the essentials. So there's very high expectation that wasn't there, let's say 20, 30 years ago, because we didn't have this incredibly thriving film industry at the time, and now we do. Students want way more than they did in the past. They want to be ready.
Professor Stone, do you see that students are walking out of the film program completely ready to be contributing into the workforce there?
I think many of them are. I think hopefully the majority of them are, if we're doing our job correctly. I can give you some good examples of how ready they are. I saw a wonderful photograph recently, and that photograph was of the editing team that had worked on David Fincher's recent movies. David Fincher, of course, being a huge director of The Social Network, and he's an Academy Award winner, made one of the Alien movies. Anyway, there are 10 people standing there, and Fincher's got his arm around some of them, and 2 of the people on that editing team are graduates. So, you know, not only are we sending people out into the New Mexico economy, we're sending people out into the wider film industry, and they are ready, clearly. So it's a very exciting time to be part of this.
Well, and without a
Let
doubt.
me jump in and ask Patricia, Dr. Fenn, you know, we work a great deal at the Chamber on trying to find challenges around the workforce shortage issue and concerns that brings. I'm interested to know if you could talk about the workforce shortage as you see it, and what concerns you the most. Is it the lack of nurses, for example, or is it too few primary care docs, or too few specialists like psychiatrists or OBGYN? Sort of, what are your thoughts along those lines?
So I guess I want to start in and say I have concerns, but I also have joys and hopes. So I really want to frame it in that. And it's really, as what President Stokes and Professor Stone said, huge opportunities, I think. So for every challenge, there's an opportunity. So I would say that just to the first question, I think higher education is being asked to do more, and I'm all in. As you know, the more education you actually have a better shot of being better prepared, not only to take care of your health, but the health of your society and others. And it's also incredible at increasing the workforce. And there's a lot of synergy and collaboration. Dr. Stone talked about film industry. I could actually talk about artificial intelligence and healthcare. There's so many opportunities that are here. But to your specific question, Terry Cole, I just wanted to say, yes, there are shortages. They do keep me up at night, and there are a number of reasons. So one is to just say, we actually have a healthcare force here in the state that is, I won't say, are aging gracefully. And that's really important. So we're really retooling. And with COVID pandemic and so many, I think, of the challenges and opportunities of a pandemic and digital access, that to really think about who the next generation we train. And I think that's a key part for our health and our higher education. Who are we training? How are we training? Not only utilizing different tools, but ensuring that they have that same empathy, compassion, and passion that you want in your providers. You mentioned what are the workforces that I'd be concerned about. It is two primary care. Is it psychiatry? Is it OB/GYN? I'm going to tell you straight up, I'm worried about all of them, because it is a new generation thinking about training and really committing to what I think is an incredibly unique opportunity in New Mexico. You mentioned, President Stokes mentioned some of the opportunities where we could leverage in partnership. And I think we're sort of attuned at the perfect place. Now, what is the problem? The problem is that there is a shortage. And there is a shortage nationwide, but there is a shortage here. So how are we addressing it in every one of the areas? So medicine, like team science, like every collaboration that we talk about, particularly in athletics that we'll hear about, is a team sport. So we want to train, and we do currently, our nurses, our health allied professionals. We have 7 different allied health professionals that we train in the School of Medicine, in addition to our physicians. It's how do we work together, and what we call it the best part of our license. I think that incorporating new opportunities for really training others, enhancing, expanding not only School of Medicine, but the other professionals, making it also a more attractive place where people want to come and stay and commit to New Mexico. I do think that we have to really think about, we're in the midst of a pandemic where people's not only mental health and anxiety, so that's really important, but I think there are many solutions and many downsides. And I don't think you asked me about the upside. The upside, I think, is a huge, incredible opportunity for harnessing incredible, fabulous technology, but really, I think leveraging that and connecting that with medicine at its most laudable core, which is taking care of each other and our health. And I'll stop there. I don't know if I answered all of your questions, but there's a lot that you packed in there.
Oh, you did very well. It was great. And I love that positive attitude. Tom, I sort of keeping that positive attitude going. Eddie Nunez is just at the height of positiveness. And we have always appreciated how he is open to every challenge he gets, and he's ready to fix it. So, Eddie, what kind of challenges are you faced with? And are you feeling like some days it's too much? So that's question one. And, you know, your big topic these days is this new name, image, and likeness rules. And, you know, you might touch on how that might change UNM and what it is you do. Would you mind, Eddie?
Not a problem. Good to see everybody. Those in cyber world, hello, on behalf of myself and everybody here at Athletics. I think, well, there's change constant in our industry, and it's always been here. I think that's one of the things that people often kind of forget, that athletics or any higher ed has always had some kind of challenges, things that are going to come and pull us in different directions. Every day it's a different challenge here, and we have to be ready and embrace it. You know, at the end of the day, there are opportunities that are going to help us, as Dr. Finn said. I mean, it's an opportunity for us to get better, and whatever comes, we're going to find a way to do it. If we can't do it, at least we're going to put our best foot forward. So it's the challenges that we face today, even if it's financial or anything else. And I'm very fortunate to sit here right now and be appreciative of Dr. Stokes and the university and state leaders that have helped us get our budget right and be able to sit here today and say 5 years in a row of balancing our budget because of everybody's support doing it together. That's a testament to one of the major challenges that higher ed athletics has. So thank you, because it's a big one. And then when you talk about NIL, that is definitely something that's changing and changing fast. It's part of why higher education athletics, college athletics has kind of been its own worst enemy. For many years, everybody liked what college athletics was about. We enjoyed the way it was operating and everything else, but the reality is, as a former student athlete, as a former coach, I understand the benefits of someone being able to benefit off their name or their image or likeness. Just like a piano player, if they're talented enough and could go make money playing, they should have that ability to be able to do so. So this has opened up some opportunities. The challenge that we're facing is that the NCAA was behind the gun, and we unfortunately didn't put ourselves in the right position on the front side that allowed states to start making up their own rules. We're very fortunate here to have great support by some of our legislators that really stepped up and said, you know what, let's put us in a position where we can at least benefit the most we can. And so we've been very successful. Our student athletes have had opportunities that probably aren't presented at many universities. And it's because we allowed the education, the working collaborative work with the state, with other leaders, the university, to come up with a plan that allowed us to say, look, to our student athletes, we're going to do it. We're going to allow you to, we're going to give you that opportunity to do it. Not allow, we're going to give them the opportunity to do it. We're going to educate you in the process. And then we have individuals in our communities that have realized the benefit and have stepped up. We have partners like Sadie's and our 505 Sports, Ventures, all of them working together. So many different groups have given our student athletes this ability, and it's a game changer. It's definitely something that's not going to go away, but we definitely got to put our arms around it a little bit better, because if not, this could be very challenging for college athletics in the future.
Tom?
Eddie, sticking with you, because I know that we have a hard stop with Eddie. He has to leave us right around 4 o'clock. So we're going to pepper you for a minute.
Go for it.
Legislation was passed up in the Roundhouse around some economic development projects on South Campus. So, and most of those have to do with your arenas and facilities. So talk about your vision for South Campus over, say, the next 10 years here.
Well, first, I have to commend our president, Teresa Constantinides, our CFO, executive vice president for the university. So many that came even before that started this process. This has been a project that's been in the place since before I got here, and literally a lot of the heavy lifting happened over the last several years. And it's a testament of everybody working together, understanding that we have a region over here by athletics that sits dormant, that we can really maximize opportunities, bring economic development to this, not just to Albuquerque, not just to this area, but for the university. And so this is really a collaborative effort between the city, the university, athletics, everybody that had a hand in this, to really bring restaurants, bring things that are going to just turn this whole district into what we all expected years ago. So I'm excited, because it's going to bring more traffic over here, positive traffic. We're working with, as we said, city leaders, but also APD and others to make sure that as we go forward with this, we're doing it with the right things in mind, with safety, with security, with development, with infrastructure. And then ultimately, selfishly, we want to be able to give our fans an opportunity, Isotopes fans, United fans, everybody that comes here, have a chance to really benefit from this area. I mean, if we bring restaurants, bars, things that can attract them, why not make this a destination more than just a game? So I'm extremely excited. Again, it's been a long time coming. The Global Development Board that's been a part of this, those that have been a part of the committee, understand the hard work that has happened. So thank you to the state legislature. Thank you to everybody that's been involved, because we wouldn't be here today if it was for their efforts to make it happen.
And sticking along that vein, it's hard to recruit coaches or players to a university unless you're keeping up your facilities and all the amenities that are surrounding that. So what facility improvements do you have in the works, and what are your plans here on that?
So I think the first one that I have to tout is our New Mexico Mutual Champions Training Center. I hope everybody has an opportunity at some point to come see this. It is a state-of-the-art facility. It was done with the mindset to give our student athletes, all our Olympic sports, everyone, the ability to be successful at their talent, their trade. And this wasn't a building that we designed to be full of the frills and everything else. This was a functional facility that we wanted to design that gave our student athletes really a hub between our trainings, our athletic training room, the weight room, the training center. All the things that they need are in one location right now. So to be able to build it where we did, it was the first step. We have many things in the horizon. We're looking at building a nutrition facility for student athletes, possibly even combining and working with the university to, having our students have access to this as well. But the one thing that I'm really proud of is as we've stepped to more and more facilities as we've gone through, and we do facilities, we improve our baseball facility. The pit's going to need some more enhancing. Our football stadium's going to need if we want to take that step when it comes to realignment, and a lot of people have that question. If we're going to really take that, at some point, we're going to have to improve and put some emphasis into the football stadium. But what's really more impressive than anything else is Dr. Finn mentioned it, it's the team effort. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the collaboration we have right now. Probably one of the strongest efforts we've had is with our hospital folks, with Dr. Sedonis over there and their folks, with our mental health, with everything. The more we can combine our efforts together and build facilities that not just improve the hospital, HSC, the city of Albuquerque, but also give our student athletes an ability to partner up and be involved, really gives us a chance to bring not just global athletics, but the University of New Mexico to a whole different category. So I'm excited. I really am. It's a fun time. A lot of things happening. I do have to go beat the drum up there in Santa Fe, like many others, and trying to get a couple dollars. But we have some unbelievable. I do have to say thank you to our donors that are out there that are, hopefully many are on this. Thank you for what you do and the vision that we have here and believing into what we're trying to do.
So Eddie, before we lose you, were you excited when the Nuggets won? I mean, was that exciting?
I'm gonna have to go against that one. As born and raised in Miami, I was cheering for the Heat. I have to say, unfortunately.
Well, there's a 50 chance we could have a moment there, but
we did.
Sarah, you made him cringe there for a moment.
Yeah, and I apologize to everybody for having to jump off. Actually, I have a really important situation. My mom is actually coming in town. She hasn't been here in a while, so I've got to pick her up at the airport. If I don't, like anybody here that knows, I'd get a pretty good stern warning from her. So I'm going to go step away here in a little bit. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this. Know that we look forward to having everybody a part of Lobo Athletics. And thank you. If you have a question, though, Tom, and I'll say, if anybody out there has a question, don't ever hesitate to email us. I know you read a lot about what was happening between some school down south and us recently. Just know we're doing it for the betterment of our student athletes. It's not a shot at anybody at New Mexico State, Cruces, their fan base. It's really about making sure we do what's right for our student athletes and for the future of college athletics.
Great. Tom, I want to speak with workforce a little bit. And Professor, I got a question for you on sort of how are you meeting the workforce demands? When we look at the expansion of Netflix and we look at the arrival in NBC Universal, how does that workforce picture look for you? Can we meet the challenges?
Yeah, I think we can. There is a tremendous demand right now, and that's our biggest challenge, I guess, is meeting that demand. We have more majors and pre-majors than we've ever had here at UNM. We have 560 majors and pre-majors right now, which is, 5 years ago, it was half that number. We are the fastest growing program here at UNM. So that's a wonderful thing. That demand is a double-edged sword, however. We're very, very happy that so many students want to come and study with us. We're also struggling a little bit to meet that demand. I mean, we need enough professors to meet that demand. We need enough resources. We need enough money to do that. And the university, of course, is helping us with that. But it's difficult to keep up because there really is this amazing interest in it, in the film industry. Now, I think we are keeping up with demand, but of course the state really wants to see more film crew particularly. And this is a relatively new thing for us because we've always been in the business of turning out directors and producers and writers, people who are above the line in the film industry parlance. But of course, there's nothing wrong with being part of the crew. And we also turn out people who want to, work their way up the chain, and that's enormously important too. So we've pivoted a little bit in recent years to teaching essential crew skills and getting people to know exactly what it is to step onto a set. So we're definitely giving the students what they want. We're listening to students. That's one thing. I mean, we're bringing in classes that they tell us they need, and some of our most recent additions to the curriculum have been because of students and what they think they should have. Our course in producing, for instance, has been a big one of those. Now, one way we're going to meet this demand is, many of you will have heard of this. There's a new initiative in the state that comes from Santa Fe, comes from the governor's office, which is the New Mexico Media Academy. And it gets together all the different institutions in the state that teach film, that teach digital media, and is coming up with a new certificate, which we're all going to take part in, we're all going to teach, and we're going to still have our 4-year degree. And we love our 4-year degree, our BFA. We also have a BA that we offer students, but we're going to take part in this New Mexico Media Academy because it's going to get more crew members out there faster, working in the industry. And that's a very attractive thing to our students as well, that they can, they can do their studies with us, but simultaneously they can be getting their feet wet in this industry that they want to work in. They can start building their network very early. So this New Mexico Media Academy, which is based on a model coming out of Georgia, and you may know Georgia is another big film hotspot in the country, just like New Mexico. It's a bringing together of industry and government and higher education. And I think the New Mexico Media Academy is going to be a real a conduit for us to meet that demand.
Dr. Finn, a quick question for you. We know that you spend a lot of time training our medical professionals. What do we need to do differently, or what do you need to do differently to keep doctors that you train to stay in our state? That's a big question that we hear a lot of.
I think, like everything else, it's an opportunity. And I think that there are many ways that we can not only train and retain, which are two. So let me just stop for 1 second. So as you know, as a physician, it's 4 years of medical school, and then to become, whether it's primary care, OBGYN, or a psychiatrist, and then maybe additionally subspecialties, a pulmonary doctor, as I am, or someone who's a special surgeon. Those take additional years, and those are internships and residency. So let me first say, I will come back to the medical school, but talk about internship and residency. Remember, I'm relatively new, so I'm going to thank all who preceded me. I stand on the shoulders of giants. There's been a huge effort, and just as Professor Stone, that's a legislator, a government. It's also because of our leadership, President Stokes, EVP Ziodonis, that we have increased and worked in collaboration with CMS to increase those graduate slots. So those residency program slots that I talked about, those have been increasing progressively. And that's really important as you see new buildings coming around for healthcare. And we have a very significant percentage of those, whether or not they've gone to medical school here, will stay here in residency, because as you know, this is not just the land of entrancment, is it? It's not just entrancment. But so when you have someone who comes here, either a family or they care or they see what's all here. So we have a really pretty good track record of those that train in residencies in these subspecialties that I said will stay. So that's really good for recruitment and retention, and then you want them to stay. President Stokes mentioned the BAMD. So then you've got someone out of high school who's thinking about it, who really wants to be committed. And that program is very successful at those who stay in New Mexico and who really care and can also provide primary care, but are also committing to subspecialties. I think also thinking about what is unique and wonderful here, and you've heard my other members of the team and President Stokes speaks about it. I think we're really poised in New Mexico at a unique opportunity to really integrate rather than in silos. So many of the trainees that come in want to know about, say, digital work that they might apply for using medicine. They might want to be an athletic physician who works there. So I think the more that we can collaborate and in this unique environment provide those opportunities. And it's also speaking to the hearts and minds of our next generation. Remember, this generation in general has been through a pandemic, have all the anxiety and joys of social media. So I think that everything you've heard with all the enthusiasm of the panelists and the leaderships of President Stokes, that we're really at a unique place to listen and then to provide those moments for what is it that feeds your soul. So you're saying, well, yes, you could provide better loan repayments. Remember, it's very expensive to actually continue to have this MD degree. You can also provide support in specific arenas that might be important for them for fostering their career. As you know, there are some other I think really important that we can work closely with all our legislative partners on that their insurance premiums for those who practice here can be higher than in other states. For our state system, our salaries are not as high as others. I mean, there are a number of areas that I think Eddie Nunez talked about, that he's up there in the Roundhouse. I'm looking forward to going to the Roundhouse. We're really saying that I think we have those that come really do come and want to stay, but there are certain arenas that we can help and affording programs. And the last part that I'll say is President Stokes spoke about rainforests, all these, I see these as huge opportunities. Sandia Labs, Los Alamos, the new Oppenheimer movies coming out soon. This is the place where people can and will be. And that's the reason I came, that I really think it's at the forefront. And we spoke about really doing the right thing for our patients. It's being, people come here to really practice what's at the heart and soul of medicine and healthcare. So I'll stop there.
You know, Dr. Finn, I haven't heard very many people, particularly somebody like yourself, say how excited they are about going into the Roundhouse. So good for you. I got to practice that, you know, but isn't that great? It's just like Garnett to hire such high quality in all three of you and such enthusiasm. So good for you. You know, speaking of some of us who have been around a while on issues before your arrival, that new hospital you have has been a discussion for years and years, and a controversy at times, and painful for some at times. The chamber has been 100% behind it from day one. And it's wonderful that it is becoming reality. So why don't you talk about that for a minute? What are the benefits as you see them?
I will talk about it for a minute because I know time is tight and I appreciate everybody. Well, very excited. As I said, I've come recently. I'm seeing it progressing. I think it's huge opportunity. So we are over capacity at UNM. You know, indeed. So here's the we provide care for everybody who walks in the door, of which I am incredibly proud of, and another draw for all of us that come here and stay. So they're going to provide new access, not only for surgical services, for ICUs, but also for mental health. So much going on. So that I think that we'll see an increased opportunity. Let's just talk about the workforce in every way, shape, and form. So we have assistants and technicians and more jobs opportunities. I mentioned already, we have already started to build increased residents who will be training and available in that program. So I'm looking at it, thinking about these opportunities, these buildings, these are points of joy. And I know that it's really easy to say, well, it's bad and getting worse. That's Irish, but we don't do that. We say it's an opportunity, meaning that we're training the future doctors in New Mexico, both to stay here. And I mentioned about the residency and the programs that we have started to increase. and they will be provided that opportunity in the new buildings. I also see that you'll see greater access to care, which is really important. We want to make sure that if you want to be seen, you can be seen, access to care. And access to care provides not only moral issues for patients who want to get in, physicians who want to take care of you. So this decompressing, and you heard Eddie Nunez talk about facilities. You need the facilities to train. We would like to expand our medical school. That requires more physical space. That requires more teachers. You have to have the teachers there. And then you have to have the areas that feed their soul. And that includes the entire workforce that's there. So I'm very excited, and I also want to make sure to shout out to everybody that helps us in that field. It is a team sport that we are engaged in your care and our care. So that's not only the physicians, the nurses, the pharmacists, the social workers, the technicians, everybody, the person that helps clean our floors. They are key and essential to make sure. And by the way, we need healthy people in order to continue in athletics and in digital and in every arena that you can talk about, which is important for the community, the most vibrant community.
Thank you, Dr. Finn. My office faces all the construction, and it really is nice to see that taking shape. It's going to be transformative. So thank you very much. And one last question, and we're going to go to Professor Stone, and we'll hit you with the hard action question here. So we know that the film industry receives a robust incentive, unlike anything else that our state has ever done for an industry before. Why do you feel that kind of investment for taxpayers is warranted?
Well, for one reason, I think it brings so much money into the state. I mean, I've got a little statistic here for you. In 2022, there was $855 million in direct spend within the New Mexico film economy. So yeah, it's a remarkable amount of money. There's an economic return of 8.4 connected to the film industry, meaning that every dollar invested means that the state's economy is benefited by $8.40. So it's an enormously important thing. The incentive brings people here to spend that money. And if there weren't an incentive, we would not have the film industry that we have. We'd have some film industry. We've always had some film industry in New Mexico, but it wouldn't be, the type of incredible growth that we've seen recently. They did a study on film shows and filmmakers who are coming to New Mexico. And 92% of the respondents to that survey said that the main reason for coming here was the tax incentive. So without it, we wouldn't have that incredible revenue flow coming into the state.
Well, President Stokes, Dr. Finn, Professor Stone, of course, Eddie Nunez, who ran off to take care of Mom. We get that. We thank you for your candor and taking time to talk with us today in this panel. And Dr. Stokes, I want to give you one last chance to have the last word as we wrap things up today.
Well, my last word is really to say thank you. Thank you to the Greater Albuquerque Chamber. You do incredible things in this community and make a huge difference that has an impact on the entire state. I want to thank the community, the business leaders, the friends and donors that really are supportive of UNM. We're grateful for all the ways in which you help enrich our lives and help us enrich the lives of our community. And then I want to just thank Professor Stone, Vice President Nunez, and our new dean, as she said, Dean Finn. She has only been on the job for a few months, but you can see why we're so excited about her leadership. So thank you all for this opportunity, and thank my colleagues for joining me today to represent the university.
Thank you so much. And Terry Cole, take us home.
Thank you, Tom. And of course, another big thanks to President Stokes, Eddie, Patricia, and James. As we often say at the Chamber, we're a community-minded place, which simply means that we seek to partner with others like UNM to tackle the major challenges facing our community. And when we make progress in any of these areas, whether it's education, workforce development, healthcare, or crime prevention, it helps us grow our economy across the board. We are pleased to have UNM on our board of directors. And as I mentioned in my comments earlier, it has been so refreshing to have steady, stable, and capable leadership at our university, in the president's office, the athletics department, and elsewhere. Okay, I want to reiterate my thanks to the great companies and organizations who sponsored today's event. And I encourage everyone to check their emails tomorrow for a recap of this event, including access to a video recording in our news and views memo to the business community. And one final note. This year's cohort of Leadership Albuquerque graduates tomorrow, June 14th, following a year-long leadership development retreat at the downtown Doubletree Hotel. We're proud of them for what they've accomplished this year. Applications for our next Leadership Albuquerque cohort will be available starting next month on the Chamber's website. If you're interested in taking part, but have some questions, please call or email us. This concludes today's event, and we'll see you all very soon.